pitching. The Royals are one win away from their first winning homestand. All 3 wins so far have been shutouts. 2 against Oakland and last night against Minnesota. Felipe Paulino has held his opponent scoreless in 4 of 6 starts. He's on the mound tonight on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium, where the Royals will have at least a break-even homestand, but a victory tonight means the first winning homestand of the season. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. I'm Ryan Lefevre. All 3 wins for the Royals on this homestand have been shutouts. Going back to Friday, it was Felipe Paulino who was part of the first shutout on the homestand.
Ryan, he's going to hope to pick up right where he started this homestand, go out tonight and really be strong with that slider to keep for him. We're going to see here against the Oakland A's, it looks like a fastball, but it finishes like a slider. He throws the ball with great velocity. You can see he's on the side of the ball a little bit. Same arm slot as this fastball, same arm speed as a fastball, and the hitter thinks it's a fastball, but at the end, we learn they cannot touch the slider.
A 1.7 ERA for Paulino. Well, we had 17 runs in the first game, 1 last night. What will we see tonight? We'll find out. Baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers, the official vehicle of the Kansas City Royals. The Royals disabled list is going to continue to shrink, and Joe Goldberg will have more on that when we come back.
What an impression he made last year offensively, and of course, we knew about the defense as he was coming up through the minor leagues. Joel Goldberg back at Kauffman Stadium. Salvi Perez could be here soon, maybe later in the month. Perez, who had been in extended spring training following that spring training knee surgery, will play for AAA Omaha in a rehab appearance tomorrow, and he's not the only Royal that'll be doing that. Everett Tiefert expected to make the start as he begins his rehab from an abdominal injury, and Chris Getz on the DL with a rib injury is supposed to be playing there too. He just left a little while ago and headed to Omaha. The Royals are starting to get healthy, but tonight they look for a series win. Ryan and Monty have the call next.
Definition by Time Warner Cable, the official TV, internet, and home phone provider of the Kansas City Royals. And we are ready to go, and it is Ben Revere leading off for the Twins tonight. Denard Span gets the night off, and Felipe Paulino is in with strike one. So Revere leading off, still no Joe Mauer, so out with that sprained thumb because of a foul ball on Sunday, so it appears that Mauer will miss the entire series unless he pinch hits.
Brian, I thought last night there was a perfect opportunity for Joe Mauer to pinch hit in the last inning. If he was going to hit, he would have hit last night, so I don't think we'll see him tonight.
Off of Paulino's leg, and now he hustles to the line, and he hits Revere. And Revere kicks it all the way to the tarp, and for Revere, he'll end up at third base. And now it appears that Ben Revere is going to be called out for being in the baseline.
Get another look at it here. The base runner has to stay in that box going down the first base line. As you can see here, he's definitely on the inside. Very, very good call by first base umpire Corey Blazer.
Yeah, he's way in on the grass.
It's a tough play for a pitcher regardless, and especially when you've got a guy running right in the line of flight for the ball going to your first baseman. I'm sure Ben Revere would like to be standing on third base right now, but after seeing the replay, I'm sure he will agree.
So now the focus is on Paulino because he was hit by the line drive from Revere at the beginning of that play. So he'll get a couple of warm-up tosses with Nick Kenny and Ned Yost watching, and we'll take a look at tonight's Kia report.
Well, Felipe Paulino has been really good, and especially when he's out there, he's cool and he's calm. When he's under control and he doesn't get too amped up, he's really good. And we've seen that from him in all of his starts this year. I really like the way he's been able to put away hitters with that slider. If he throws it for strikes, he's got a great chance to be equally successful here tonight.
So Paulino is going to stay in, but getting a few words from Nick Kenny and Ned Yost as far as not trying to do too much and make an injury even worse, but it looked like it got him on the outside of the right knee or maybe the right thigh.
Yeah, hopefully it got a little meat on that big right leg. It looks like, yeah, maybe just above the knee. Ball bounced off pretty hard, though, so it's hard to tell. We'll be sure we'll hear more later from the training staff.
So that turns everything around, to say the least. Instead of a runner at third and nobody out, Revere's off the bases, one away and strike one to Jamie Carroll.
If you remember his last game, he started out with a double down the line, but is able to pitch himself out of that first inning to preserve the shutout.
Yuniesky Betancourt filling in for Alcides Escobar, and Escobar had errors in his last two games. And now Betancourt hit with an error with one out in the first, so that play is even bigger now as we look at the Royals defensively tonight, presented by Ford.
Got kind of the standard outfield, but as you mentioned, Yuniesky Betancourt turning back the clock to 2010, playing shortstop tonight. Paulino on the mound and his buddy Humberto Quintero behind the dish.
And now Josh Willingham, who has a 9-game hitting streak. Willingham with a 3-hit game in game 1 of the series, make that a 2-hit game, and then had a double in the 9th inning last night. So he was at second base with one out, representing the tying run. Then Justin Morneau walked. So the Twins had 2 on with one out in a 1-0 game, but Jonathan Broxton got Ryan Domit on a flyout and Trevor Plouffe on a flyout to end the game.
Well, Willingham's been a force at the plate with 11 home runs. He's just a guy that has been a real pleasant surprise, I think, for the Minnesota Twins.
Two balls, one strike. We saw Willingham last year playing for the Oakland A's and had a tremendous season, 29 home runs, 98 RBIs, and before that he was exclusively in the National League with Washington and Florida. A guy with some power. He'll strike out 100 times a year, and he had 150 last year with the A's, but this is also a hitter who has a .360 on base percentage. Paulino evens the count at 2-2. .82 degrees. Great weather for this series, and that weather is supposed to continue through the weekend. We started on time at 7:10, and the time and temp is presented by the parking spot at KCI.
Right, last year with the uncertainty with the way that Maurer and Morneau were going to bounce back, I think with the signing here of Willingham, it's really a good situation for him to get the opportunity, feeling like he's going to get a chance to maybe be in the middle of that lineup, and he's done a nice job for the Twins.
And he grounds it up the middle past Betancourt. Carroll will round second and head to third. Dyson will play it to second base, and the Twins have runners at first and third with one out.
Looks like there was a nice hole up the middle, playing the pull a little bit, just able to squirt it right through the middle. I think one knock on Yuniesky Betancourt has been his range to his left, and we see there he did not get a good start on that ball.
And now Justin Morneau, one hit in the series, but that one hit was a 2-run home run in game 1. Altogether 1 out of 8, and the Royals have struck him out 3 times. His home run was his 14th at Kauffman Stadium. That's the most for him in any ballpark outside of Minnesota. And he pops it up, very shallow center field. Carroll is at the bag as Dyson makes the catch, and Carroll will hold, 2 down.
Runner on third, less than 2 out. You need to get a pop up or you need to get a strikeout to stop him from scoring. Most likely, Felipe Paulino able to do that here with a shallow fly ball.
And once again, here comes Ned Yost and trainer Nick Kenny to talk to Felipe Paulino. And Felipe may not be able to talk them out of staying or coming out of the game here. This is the second time they've gone out to see him. And now maybe the adrenaline after getting hit is worn off and that leg is starting to stiffen up on him.
Well, it looks like he's going to go to the bullpen. And it does happen, Ryan. Once you get that hit, eventually the body catches up with you and the adrenaline goes away. So it looks like Luis Mendoza is going to be the pitcher. Here we are in slow motion, taking a look at the ball coming off the bat. Looks like it got him in the thigh, so really not a huge concern as far as something maybe being broken or fractured in there. And he looks like he's walking fine, but obviously Nick Kenny is very concerned about what it might do to him after this.
So a Chevy call to the bullpen in the top of the first inning, and Luis Mendoza will get all the time he needs to get ready. And yet they are 3-2 so far. They had Felipe Paulino starting tonight, one night after a shutout. But Paulino is knocked out, drilled by a Ben Revere line drive to begin the game. And now with runners at first and third and 2 outs, as Paulino faced 3 more hitters, he's out and Luis Mendoza is in.
Right, and we've seen Luis Mendoza pitch well in relief, and I think oftentimes a guy that's coming in from the bullpen really doesn't have a lot of time to think about maybe a start, for example, for anyone coming in starting the game. We've seen Luis Mendoza respond well to these situations. And again, I don't know if it's just a way of preparation, but he has seemingly pitched more effectively in relief. Here we're going to see him when he came in relief of Nate Adcock against the Cleveland Indians. 3+ innings in this game. So, again, I just think this is maybe a role that's pretty well cut for him.
Some guys really benefit from the 4 days off in between starts. They can really think about their opponent. They can mentally prepare themselves, get amped up for that one start every 5 days. Other guys, and I'm not suggesting Mendoza is one or the other, but some guys, all of that thinking, they kind of think themselves into a hole, and they're better off just getting the ball and going out there and throwing, thinking as little as possible. And As a result, these guys that come in emergency situations will pitch well.
Right, and again, I think a lot of it's just the way that it's almost like the bell rings, let's go get him, not a lot of time to think about it, take my game, and it's very important for him, obviously, to have not too strong of an arm. By that I mean he needs to have good life on a sinker. He can't be too strong. So I'm sure in all this downtime since his last outing, he's been throwing in the bullpen and making sure that he doesn't get too strong. You have to stay sharp, especially for a sinker ball like a Mendoza.
And that last outing, the game you were talking about in Cleveland, that was May 28th. That was a week ago Monday. So he's had a long layoff. And Ned Yost and the Royals can't seem to catch a break. I mean, one night after they get a starter that goes 7 innings, gives the bullpen a little bit of a break. They get Felipe Paulino out of the mound. He's drilled by a line drive, and good thing for the Royals tomorrow is that they have a day off. Everybody will get a break.
The best thing can happen here for Mendoza is to now approach this like he is in the 2 outs in the first inning of his start, and just move through and try to get this game deep into the bullpen, and maybe 5 or 6 innings out of him.
Ball 1-2. Ryan Domit hitless in the series, 0 for 9, and he bats with Carroll at third base, Willingham at first. And this is bonus time for the Twins because there is an error involved in the inning. So as far as the official scoring goes, this inning should be over. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Domit obviously concerned about something going on with Luis Mendoza on the mound.
That is off of Hosmer's glove, and they're going to call it a fair ball. So a run scores. Willingham goes to third, Domit to second. That'll be a base hit and an RBI for Ryan Domit.
Well, we've seen a little bit of everything in this first inning, Ryan. We don't see that very often from Eric Hosmer. When he gets his glove on a ball, normally very, very sure-handed. He had to go a long way for this ball, so he was in foul territory, actually, but it looked like the ball may have been back in fair territory. Remember, it's where he touches the ball, where the ball is when he touches it, whether it's in fair territory or foul territory. It looked from the camera that maybe the ball was actually, it landed foul, obviously, but it looked like maybe there was a question as to whether that ball was fair or foul.
So that run is charged to Felipe Paulino, and it is an unearned run.
Take a look here. Just really hard to tell from that angle, but the umpire right on top of it.
Now Trevor Plouffe grounds it to Betancourt, who has an error in the inning. That puts an end to a long top of the first inning. Minnesota has a 1-0 lead. first inning. So the Royals coming up now against Nick Blackburn. And Yuniesky Betancourt will make the start at shortstop as Alcides Escobar will be getting just his second day off this year. Johnny Giavotella will slide down to number 7. And the Royals will be facing right-hander Nick Blackburn, who is coming back from the disabled list tonight.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's coming back early or not, but as a result of injuries, he's coming back from a quad injury himself. As a result, again, he's really looking to throw to single ball. He's a single ball pitcher. Here's their defense. We've got Ben Rivera in center field, KCA at second base. We mentioned we got Blackburn on the mound and Ryan Domet behind the dish.
Alex 1 for 7 in the first 2 games with a double and a couple of walks, and the double gives him 17 on the year. That is 6th best in the American League. And thinking about bunting, and that was a topic that came up quite a bit early in the year when certain teams, not all teams, were going with that dramatic shift over to the right. But the Twins, who have seen a lot of Alex Gordon being in the same division, they feel like Alex will hit the ball to all fields, which he does as he shoots it into left center. So they play him straight up, and Alex still gets it through the infield for a leadoff single.
Nice way for Alex to get things going for the Royals. Going the other way with it. Shift or no shift, that ball's hit well, it's going to get through. Real nice turn of the hands, getting that top hand.
And now what should be a motivated Yuniesky Betancourt. He committed an error in the top of the first inning, which led directly to an unearned run. And it was a good time to give Alcides Escobar the night off. Escobar is 0 for his last 11 at the plate, and he had committed errors at short in his last 2 games.
Yeah, and I think for a guy like an Alcides Escobar going out there every day, you feel great, but once you get a day off, when you come back after that day off, and now he's going to essentially get 2 days off, he's going to have fresh batteries. He's going to really feel a lot better mentally and physically. Sometimes you just get a little dull.
And Ned Yost likes to pinpoint a day like today. He calls it a 2-for-1, where with the off day tomorrow, the player actually gets 2 days off, but they only miss 1 game. 1 ball and 1 strike on Betancourt. I mentioned the Royals going for a winning homestand. They already have a winning homestand, so this wouldn't be their first. There was the homestand with the Yankees and the Red Sox when the Royals split 4 with New York and took 2 out of 3 from Boston. Altogether, the Royals are just 8-19 at home. And on this homestand, they've taken 2 out of 3 from the A's, and they've split 2 with the Minnesota Twins.
Really nice to see the Royals playing good baseball against teams who coming in with not winning records. And you mentioned the homestand they won against the Yankees and the Red Sox, 2 teams that are normally at the top of their division. So you got to beat some of the big guys too.
And for a young team, as crazy as it sounds, these are the series that are sometimes more difficult to get up for. I mean, you're facing the Yankees and the Red Sox, big crowds, big stage, big audience. And it's only human nature for a young player to get more amped up for those. But the winning teams, the first division clubs, get as amped up for the A's and the Twins as they do for the Red Sox and the Yankees.
And really, when the A's came to town, they had a better winning percentage than the Royals did. So it wasn't really like the Royals were, looking down on somebody. They were a team that was pretty even record-wise.
They just happened to be in the middle of a long losing streak at the time. Betancourt hitting .279. He has hit safely in his last 4 games. He has not played yet in this series. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes with Nick Blackburn. Nick Blackburn has allowed 5 earned runs or more in 5 of his 7 starts, which shouldn't be a huge surprise when you look at his 8.37 ERA.
I mentioned earlier that coming off the disabled list, Carl Pavano was the original scheduled starting pitcher for the Minnesota Twins today, but Blackburn had thrown 2 games in his rehab in order to be able to come back today. Yeah, and here was Blackburn DL today. They've just had issues with arms. Liriano we saw last night, really nice game from him, but overall in the year 7.2 ERA. So
that didn't look like a starting rotation that was going to set any world records, but it looked like a solid rotation. Francisco Liriano, who pitched very well last night after a shaky first inning. You know, he's had up and down seasons. Scott Baker's been pretty consistent. Carl Pavano's a workhorse. Jason Marquis has had some solid seasons in the big leagues. Betancourt launches it to deep left field and immediately makes up for the air as he puts the Royals in front 2-1.
Sure, that's a little monkey off of Yuniesky Betancourt's back. Lets in 1, but he drives in 2, so you'll take that any day.
So he's still on the positive side of the ledger.
You gotta like it at this stage. Pitch gets up, inner part of the ballpark, or I'm sorry, inner part of the plate. Gets a bad head out, no doubt about that one.
That is the 8th home run allowed by Nick Blackburn in a little over 33 innings. 33 1/3. Strike 1 to Billy Butler. Billy's had a good year against the Twins this year. 17 at-bats and 8 hits. 3 in this series. So with numbers like that, we remind you as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Royals hoping for another big game from Billy Butler, who's in a little bit of an RBI drought. He's ahead in the count here, 3 balls and 1 strike. Billy's been stuck on 35 RBIs for quite a while, and he has just 1 RBI in his last 8 games. On the ground and handled by Carroll. That's a low throw, and Plouffe, making his first major league start at first base, handles it, and that is the first out. The Royals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri are teaming up to help you stop smoking now. The state of Missouri tobacco quit line is at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Mike Moustakas takes a curve for a strike from Blackburn. Moustakas had a 3-hit game in game 1 with a home run and a couple of doubles. 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs in the series. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Brian, Blackburn was on the disabled list last year with an issue with his forearm. I know he had a surgery after the season last year, but it just doesn't seem like he's been the same guy since.
Ben Revere in center field tonight makes the play. There are 2 down in the first inning. Nick Blackburn, not a high round draft pick, 29th round draft pick of the Twins in 2001. And they gave him a 4-year contract extension in spring training of 2010. And later in that year, they sent him to the minor leagues. The best he's done in the big leagues so far, a couple of seasons of 11 wins and 11 losses. He's had elbow surgery. He's had the forearm surgery Monty just talked about. He's also had surgery on his knees. 1 surgery on his right knee, 1 on his left. Now 3 balls and no strikes to Jeff Francoeur.
We just heard from the press box that there was a right groin strain for Felipe Paulino. It wasn't anything to do with the ball hitting off his right knee.
You know, if he had not been hit by a line drive, looking at the way that he was kind of tweaking his legs on the mound, my first thought was he looks like his groin's bothering him, but obviously it can't be that. It has to be because of the line drive, but it was his groin, and now an error by Minnesota shortstop Brian Dozier. So both shortstops have committed an error tonight, and the Royals are still going in the bottom of the first inning. So actually that's worse news for the Royals. You'd rather hear that Paulino left because of a bruise on his leg, not because of a strained groin.
Well, I agree with that. I think he's got a lot of mass in those legs. He's a guy that's probably going to get much better, quicker from a bruise than he would be from a pull or a strain.
So Eric Hosmer with a runner at first and 2 down. He takes ball 1. Hosmer has hit in 8 straight. And as we look at our Toyota League leaders for tonight, Eric Hosmer with one of the longest hitting streaks in the American League. 1 ball, 1 strike, and that's 25 pitches in the first inning for Blackburn. Only Michael Brantley, Prince Fielder, and the Twins' Josh Willingham have longer current streaks in the AL. And
really,
Eric Hosmer now hitting .218.
It's great to see him heating up too.
.218 never looked so good.
That's right. And just going back 3 or 4 days when he made the adjustment where he altered his right foot pickup, he's not really picking his foot completely off the ground. That allows him to stay back. Before it just seemed like I don't think anyone noticed it more than him, but it looked like he was just rushing through the strike zone. He was roaring to get to the ball.
And now Blackburn's behind him, 3 balls, 1 strike. We've gone over this before. Doesn't it always seem when a hitter is going through a slump that when they begin to hit the ball again, one of the explanations has to do with just swinging at better pitches?
Yeah, that's one thing that we saw a lot from Eric Hosmer. He was really trying to force things to happen and chasing a lot of pitches that were out of the strike zone, and pitchers were pitching him away, and he's trying to pull balls at times. But he did hit some balls hard and hit him some bad luck. We remember hitting the triple play, so that's a sign that things aren't going so well for you.
He'll have Francoeur running here with a full count and 2 outs, and he takes ball 4. So it's a long inning for Blackburn. His next pitch will be his 30th, and with 2 outs and nobody on, an error and now a walk, and that brings up Johnny Giavotella. It's an exaggeration, but it's a good point. Remember Ryan Klesko, the former big league outfielder and sometime first baseman? Years ago, he was coming out of a slump, and somebody asked him, what were you able to do to break out of the slump? And he said, well, I stopped swinging at pitches over my head and in the dirt.
Well, that seems to make a big difference. At this level, pitchers sense those things from hitters when they're struggling, and they know that they're chasing pitches out of the strike zone. And that's one of the jobs of the pitcher, is just to essentially expand the strike zone to make those pitches appear to be strikes, and they finish off the plate. And a lot of times when hitters are struggling, they're really trying to force things to happen, and then they chase those pitches off the plate, and as a result, pitchers make a nice living.
And I've heard it said before that, smart pitchers, they'll get a hitter out before they even throw a pitch, because they know exactly what they're going to do with him.
Well, a lot of it goes with the makeup of the team sometimes as well. You've got a hitter at the plate who looks in an on-deck circle and he sees a guy behind him that wants those RBIs, so you really never have to throw a strike to that guy because he wants the RBIs himself. And you can expand the strike zone to where you don't even have to throw him a strike to get him out.
Francoeur at second, Hosmer at first. And Giavotella got a breaking ball that was up. He would love to have that pitch back. And you can see just by the look on his face, he wanted to hit that from here up onto I-70.
Yeah, he's not going to see a pitch like that again very likely. That pitch is right up in the strike zone.
Sometimes we say it's so bad it's good, and maybe that pitch was so bad it ended up being a good pitch.
Yuniesky Betancourt has hit a 2-run home run. This has been a long first inning. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. A long first inning, which included the Royals having to make a pitching change in the top of the first. Felipe Paulino was hit by a line drive, facing the very first batter, Ben Revere. And then 3 batters later, he had to come out with a completely different injury, a groin strain. So Luis Mendoza, who's sitting and waiting in the dugout, faced 2 batters. It's his game now. Giavotella strikes out, a slow breaking ball. The inning comes to an end. The Twins got an unearned run because of a Betancourt error in the first, but Uni makes up for it with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the first. Top of the second inning. On select Thursday nights, you can experience the new NightlifeKC.com lounge located on the Budweiser patio. Tickets are just $30. That gets you in the door. 2 beverage vouchers, a private DJ, plush seating, and much more. Tickets at Royals.com/NightlifeKC. As Dozier begins the second inning with a fly ball to Jeff Francoeur. So Luis Mendoza gets the first out with 1 pitch. This would also be an adjustment too for the Minnesota Twins because they went into batting practice. They went to bed last night and into batting practice today with their mindset prepared for Felipe Paulino, and now they have to change all of that and get ready for Luis Mendoza, who's a different style pitcher.
You know, they're thinking power fastball, power slider. Now they're going to be seeing a lot of sinkers. One thing I saw from Mendoza at times, especially early in the year during spring training, was he's got a better breaking ball than I think people give him credit for. So if he uses that effectively, he really is a much more rounded pitcher.
Talking to pitching coach Dave Island today and going over Felipe Paulino and specifically what Paulino has done against left-hand hitters. They're hitting below 200, and Dave Island, first of all, was talking about how Paulino just has better control and command of all of his pitches, but he kept going to the slider. That his slider has been effective against righties and lefties. So maybe that's the pitch that the league hasn't been prepared for so far this year.
Well, in his career, he's been erratic at times, and we saw most of the time last year when he would have issues, he'd get in trouble, he would start to amp up and overthrow that fastball, get up in the strike zone. He would get some outs with it, but you can't live up in the strike zone, and we saw that with him.
And that's only human nature. I mean, that doesn't just apply to pitching in the major leagues, but in any life circumstance. I mean, when the situation begins to heat up, we naturally begin to speed things up.
Right.
Still 1-2 on KCA.
It's easy to speed things up too if you're a major league pitcher and you have a 97 to 99 mile an hour fastball and you get into a jam. You oftentimes think, I'm going to go to that pitch, and that's been a pitch that you've been successful with. But I think now that he's really refined the slider and his off pitch, it's making him a much better pitcher.
Well, it was something you had to do to come up with over 300 saves. As somebody once put it, dealing with the urgent without becoming anxious.
Yeah, that was always a real key, is to try to pitch exactly the same regardless of the situation. Whether it was a man on base, nobody on base, you have to really have the ability to kind of slow the situation down and pitch to it.
So 2 down in the second inning. We want to remind you to bring the entire family to Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest. That's July 6th through July 10th at Kansas City Convention Center, Bartle Hall. Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest is an interactive baseball theme park and the largest baseball fan event in the world. Go to allstargame.com for tickets. You'll get free autographs at the event from Major League Baseball legends and members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Darren Mastroianni with 2 outs and nobody on. And Mendoza chips off the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Speaking of the All-Star game, it's something that is now, the game is less than 5 weeks away, so creeping closer, and that means the season is moving toward the midpoint. Last night we finished the 1/3 marker, so moving closer.
Mendoza goes up and makes a nice play, and he knocks down the Minnesota Twins in order in the second. Need to hear this story. He is being recognized today as the 2012 Kansas City Royals Father of the Year and winner of the Dan Quisenberry Championship Fathering Award. Okay, here's the story. At age 5, a fatherless Gage Cameron, sitting next to Ivan, asked Ivan, who was a family friend, to be his dad. And Ivan's response was simply, "I would be honored." And now, 12 years later, their relationship is no less than that of a father and son. What a great story. Buck would be proud to have Ivan Pearl sitting in his seat tonight.
As I'm sure Dan Quisenberry would as well.
Absolutely. I think I saw Janie down there earlier tonight for an on-field presentation. Two and two on Gerard Dyson, batting 8th. He has hit in 4 straight games, getting his average up to 266. And it's a slow roller to Dozier. Not an easy play, and Dyson is safe.
As Gerard would say, that's what speed do. Not hit hard enough for Dozier to make the play on Gerard. Dyson really hustling down the line.
As Joel told us, Gerard has family here watching this series with the Minnesota Twins. There they are. And now let's see if Gerard can turn that symbolically into a double. He has 10 stolen bases. That's the 4th most in the American League. He has been thrown out 3 times. 1 stolen base in this series. Think Humberto Quintero is going to see a fastball or two?
I got to believe he is. Nick Blackburn obviously concerned about Dyson over on first base.
Not running. And a fastball is inside for ball 1.
See a lot of the throwovers. Just see the pitcher stepping off. All those signs normally coming in from the bench. Catcher only just relaying the sign. But I know as a pitcher, oftentimes you just have to shift gears. You have to say, I'm going to worry about Gerard Dyson or I'm going to worry about the batter. You can't be thinking about both.
And Gerard is flinching over there, and that's distracting Blackburn. So he's accomplished something just by doing that.
Well, it seemed like he really broke his rhythm. And like I say, if you're going to deliver a pitch home, Gerard Dyson has to be the least of your thinking.
Yeah, it's the 40% worrying about Dyson and 60% focused on the catcher that gets you killed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looked like Quintero may have given him a pitch to run on. He didn't go.
Started to go, and the Twins pitch out, but Dyson was able to either read it or he didn't like his jump, and he goes back.
I think that was a very good read on Gerard Dyson's part. I think when he saw Ryan Dumek step out for that pitch out, he shut it down.
And now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Quintero. Gerard not running, and that pitch was very close. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now we'll keep a closer eye on Gerard Dyson.
Yeah, I got to believe 3-2. There's a real good chance he's going to get started early. I hear the fans booing. Pitchers hate it, fans hate it, everyone hates it, but you have to do it. You have to throw over to make sure he doesn't get that almost that walking start on you.
Dyson does not run, and Quintero pounds it foul. I think there's one exception to that, though, Monty. You say the fans hate it, the runner hates it, the pitcher hates it. I don't think Bruce Chen hates it. I think sometimes Bruce is inspired by the boos when he's on the road, and he might throw over there 1 or 2 more times.
Yeah. Was it against the Twins where he did it like 9 times?
Denard Span.
Yeah.
He had thrown more times to first than he did when Span was at the plate as a hitter. Dyson was running that time, and Quintero fouls it back.
Really an unconventional break toward second base. Normally you do a crossover move where that left foot will go over in front of the right, but there he just said, I'm going to put it in gear and go.
not running, and Quintero grounds it to KCA. So because he wasn't going, the Twins had an opportunity at a double play, but they're throwing it all over the place. KCA didn't give Dozier a very good feed, and as a result, Dozier's throw was offline. Quintero's at first with one out.
With 2 strikes, Quintero has to protect the plate, pitch away. If he had been going, there's a good chance that ball would have been through the infield for a base hit. Instead, it's a fielder's choice. At the out at second, still on first.
And it brings us to Alex Gordon for the second time in 2 innings. Alex singled and scored on the Betancourt home run in the first. Into left field. Willingham got a late break, but he fades back to make the catch. Quintero returns to first, and that's 2 outs. Father's Day is right around the corner. Give your dad the most unique Father's Day present ever. Have Slugger make a personal Father's Day gift delivery. Package includes a t-shirt, a Royals hat, buy one get one ticket offer, a poster, and a personalized card made out to the world's greatest dad. Go to Royals.com/Slugger to order your Father's Day Sluggergram. It's quite an inning for Yuniesky Betancourt. He gets a rare start at shortstop. Alcides Escobar getting the night off. He commits an error in the top of the first inning, which turns into a run. But then in the bottom of the first, he hit a home run to left field off of Blackburn to put the Royals in front. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Uni back off the disabled list for a while now with that ankle injury that he was really brought out of spring training camp with him. Wasn't able to really move much when he was playing second base, and eventually they just shut him down, put him on the disabled list.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Gave the Royals an opportunity to take a look at Irving Falou.
I really like what I saw from Irving Falou. We'd seen him in spring training camp, but seeing him in major league action was good.
Carroll comes over from third to put an end to the bottom of the second inning. So 2 in the books. It's the Royals 2, Minnesota 1. Remind you that coming up on Tuesday, we'll have our first one-on-one of the year. And Eric Hosmer and I had a chance to sit down at the end of spring training and have a nice long interview. So we'll be showing that to you Tuesday, June 12th at 6 p.m. here on Fox Sports Kansas City. Joining us in the booth is Royals General Manager Dayton Moore. And let's begin with Eric Hosmer. Good to see him putting a hitting streak together. And I was joking with Monty when he came up in his first time up that 218 probably never looked better to him.
Well, you know, you're right, and he just looks a whole lot better. He just looks more relaxed, really worry-free. And I think he got in a 2-week mode there where he had rage at bats. I mean, he was trying to make up for, you know, a lot of hits and just trying to do too much. And when you do that, you get out of your approach. Even if you try to stay in your approach mentally, your body just doesn't work right. But he just looks more relaxed to me.
We saw that last year with Mike Moustakas when he came up, had a little early success, and he struggled. Then he just went through that extended period where it seemed like he was trying to force things to happen. Fairly similar with these two situations?
I think so. You know, it's as you know, Monty, it's very difficult to, you know, predict, you know, how young players are going to transition to the major leagues. And when they go through their first struggles, I mean, you're just hoping that they get out of it and, you know, they have some success along the way. Do something to help the team, even though if they're not hitting. If they do something to help the team, even if it's, you know, make a good play defensively, which both of them did during their rough spells, or, you know, make a base running play, or just their energy on the bench. I mean, they can do a lot of things to help the team continue to compete, and both those guys are winners.
Dayton, our timing we thought was going to be good, and maybe it is. Unfortunately now for the wrong reasons, but one of the main reasons we wanted to have you up here tonight was because guys are starting to get healthy. They're going out on rehab assignments. They're coming off the disabled list. And when Felipe Paulino left the mound tonight, we just all assumed that it was a deep bruise to his leg, and now we find out that it's something else.
I did too, and, you know, I went down there and, you know, saw Nick Kinney, and Nick said it was a groin. So, you know, it's who knows. You know, Felipe is just he's just a big, strong, tightly wound guy, and, you know, Ryan Stoneberg and Nick Kinney and our entire medical team worked very hard to, you know, just to keep him as flexible as possible. And, you know, for whatever reason, you know, that happened. So he'll get an MRI tonight, and, you know, we'll get an idea of what the outcome is sometime either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Jamie Carroll to center field. Gerard Dyson makes that play, but let's get to the positive. We've got Salvador Perez on his way to Omaha. We've got Everett Tiefert going to Omaha, and Chris Getz as well. Is he on his way to Omaha?
All three, yes, and you know, it's good. I mean, we need to get Getzy back. Getzy, you know, he's just such a mistake-free player for us, and very sure-handed. Just incorporates a lot of confidence on the interior part of the diamond. So it's good to get him back, and certainly Everett has been. You know, a solid middle guy, very versatile for us. And for Salvador Perez, what a big blow that was for us, as everybody knows, in spring training. So, you know, hopefully we'll get him back at the end of the month.
Well, he's when we saw Salvador Perez last year, it seemed like he brought that energy, and that was one thing that really seemed to elevate the level of the entire team. So I agree. He was an expected guy that was going to contribute. Didn't happen because of the injury. How quick would we expect to see him back in playing on more of a regular basis?
You know, Monty, that's a good question. I think we just have to I think you script it out, whether it be 3 to 4 times a week, and then you just evaluate it from there, because, I mean, he's very young. He's going to tell us all the right things. His energy, his leadership's going to tell us all the right things, but we're going to have to kind of script it out and just be smart with it and just make sure he doesn't have any setbacks.
That's a broken bat and a foul ball off the bat of Josh Willingham. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Is it challenging with a young guy like Perez, because you know he wants to come back? Is it challenging to know, is he really telling you the truth when he says his knee feels good?
You do, and you know, that's why you're relying on your coaches and your medical team, and sometimes you rely on his teammates too, and just get all the information you can. But I think we got to protect him a little bit when he does return, and because he's going to want to be in there. We want him in there. We need him in there. And Monty, as you mentioned something about him, I mean, he breathes a lot of confidence in our pitching staff, and you know, as you know, that trust level between the pitcher and the catcher is so important. And you know, we need him back, and but the important thing is to get him back and keep him consistent, and you know, hopefully get him, you know, 250 to 350 at bat somewhere in there before the season's over.
Is Manny Pena on a similar timeline with him, the other catcher?
You know, Manny's actually had a little bit of a setback. You know, he was going from first to third the other day, and you know, felt a tweak actually in his groin area, ironically. So we're going to have to just you know, wait and see how that unfolds.
Well, Mendoza takes one off the leg and turns it into an out. Dayton, thank you for taking the time to stop by the booth and update us on mostly good news.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Right,
thanks,
Dave.
Jeff. Okay.
Home run in the first inning. Billy Butler, Mike Moustakas, and Jeff Francoeur in the bottom of the third against Nick Blackburn. Chop foul, 0-1 on Billy, who grounded out in that direction and right to Jamie Carroll, the third baseman, in the first. Billy excited about the Royals' trip to Pittsburgh as they'll get to play first base. And the Royals have a plan to shift Eric Hosmer to right field and Jeff Francoeur to center field. Another ground ball to Carroll. One down in the third.
Yeah, we got a chance to see this guy's working early today. Eric Hosmer looking like an old pro out in right field. We know he's an athlete, so I don't see it being a tremendous challenge for him to make that adjustment during the interleague play.
And what he was watching right there was a ball hit to Jeff Francoeur in center field. Both of them were taking fly balls, and then they were hitting fly balls between the two of them. So Hosmer can get used to right field and communicating with a center fielder. Francoeur could get used to center field again and communicating with the right fielder, who happens to be Eric Hosmer. Let's bring in Joel.
Well, it was interesting watching them today, Ryan, and Eric Hosmer said he really hasn't played regular outfield since the summer of his senior year of high school when he was playing summer ball, but he did get about 4 innings in, 2 in spring training, 2 in that game that we televised from San Diego, and he said he'll worry about the lines. He's comfortable out there. He'll worry about the lines and what Frenchie can't get and leave the rest to Frenchie.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Mike Moustakas. It was just one play, but there was a game in surprise, and it wasn't just a game. It was the first time the Royals put Eric Hosmer in the outfield, and the very first batter, and this happens all the time, the ball will find the guy who's out of position. And he made a nice running play in foul territory in right field and looked like a natural in the outfield. So this isn't a situation where when the ball is going to be hit to right field in Pittsburgh that everybody's going to be holding their breath.
You're right. Those balls do seem to find the guys who are out of position, and not that Yuniesky Betancourt's out of position, but Jamie Carroll hits a ground ball in the first inning right to him and led to the run in the air.
Drilled to right field. Mastroianni, who was playing deep, runs it down, 2 away in the third inning. Jeff Francoeur comes up with 2 out, nobody on. Remember, you can be a part of the next Frenchie Quarter on June 14th. Thursday home games. Come on out, support Jeff in his fan seating section. $21 gets you a seat in the right field cheering section, a limited edition Frenchie Quarter t-shirt, and Mardi Gras beads. Tickets at Royals.com/Frenchie. Francoeur reached on an error in the first inning. Sounded like he cracked his bat. Revere fades back, and Blackburn has his first 1-2-3 inning. At the end of 3, Royals 2, Minnesota 1. For Luis Mendoza, as he had to come on in the top of the first inning after Felipe Paulino left with a groin injury. However, Paulino was part of a shutout on Friday, the first of 3 during this homestand. So in our Sprint You Call It question for tonight, what do you think was the most encouraging homestand start? And these are the 3 guys that were involved in the shutouts. Paulino on Friday, Vin Mazzaro against his former team on Sunday. Those 2, Paulino and Mazzaro, went 6. Bruce Chen went 7 last night in a 1-0 combined shutout of the Twins.
And it's the most encouraging. It's not the best start.
So with that clarification, it sounds to me like you might be leaning toward Vin Mazzaro.
I am. Vin Mazzaro I thought it was very encouraging to see someone take the ball like he did. 6 strong innings, shutout.
Giavotella, and he fell down in shallow right center field, and that put an end to the play. That would have been a long throw and off balance, and because of that, the official score gives Justin Morneau a base hit.
That's about as deep as I've seen anyone play on a shift. He was almost in right field. If he had came up with that ball, he would have had to throw like a Jeff Francoeur dart to first base to get him out.
A strike to Ryan Domit, who drove in the Minnesota run in the top of the first. A high bouncer that went off of Eric Hosmer's glove for a double, resulting in an unearned run charged to Felipe Paulino. And for Domit, that put an end to an 0 for 9. One ball, one strike.
You mentioned Domet struggling a little bit. Joe Mauer, normally the guy would see behind the plate for the Minnesota Twins, but I'm sure the Royals pitching staff just happy to see a struggling Ryan Domet as opposed to a Joe Mauer.
And with a broken bat, he gets a base hit, so he has a double, a high bouncing double off of Hosmer's glove, and now a broken bat base hit into center, and that makes him 2 for 2. And there are 2 on, nobody out against Mendoza. And it brings up Trevor Plouffe, who grounded out to short in the first inning. Take a look at our Time Warner pitch speed comparison. Mendoza at 95 so far, Blackburn up to 93. You can get downloads up to 50 megabits per second with Time Warner Cable Ultimate Internet. Plouffe grounds into Moustakas, who runs to third, fires to first for a double play. And only a guy with his arm can pull that off.
Absolutely. The arm was the only reason that he could make that play where he steps on third and goes to first. I'm sure he's thinking, well, maybe that ball's hit hard enough. I'm close to possibly get a force out at third, maybe a force at second, but no chance here. Goes in and gets a sure out at first base. He's made a lot of plays this year where his arm is really the reason he can make. He makes that diving play to his left, comes up, he goes to his right so well. But he throws about 97, 98 miles an hour across the diamond, so not many third basemen with that kind of arm.
So a runner at second and 2 outs, and Brian Dozier takes a strike. It's been brought up before on our broadcast that Mike Moustakas, one of the first things that he does when he gets to the ballpark almost every day is come out and play catch with a football, just to get his shoulder nice and loose. He was a very good high school quarterback, and he broke his leg when he was a junior in high school, so he decided he didn't want to threaten his potential baseball career, so he didn't play football his senior season. But if he had, he would have been a college recruit. Eric Hosmer, as a sign of respect, throws the ball right back to him after Moustakas is responsible for all 3 outs in the 4th inning. Is brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealer. By Panera Bread, 23 KC Metro locations and now open in Brookside. Visit us online at PaneraKansas.com. And by AT&T, the world's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. A very dangerous pitch to Eric Hosmer. A changeup that was above the belt. He takes it for a strike. Hosmer walked in the first inning against Nick Blackburn, who doesn't want to make that pitch again. That's where he wanted the changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Interesting to see him back up a bad one with a good one, but oftentimes as a pitcher, you know you leave it up there, you got away with it, so now let's execute one, and that's what he did.
And Hosmer showing a good eye as ahead in the count, 2-1. Three balls, 1 strike. There are at least 2 pitches in that sequence here where Eric Hosmer would have swung earlier in the season, and it's either an even count or he's down in the count. But here it's 3-1, and he chops it over the mound, over second, and into center field for a base hit and a winner in the hot watch.
I believe you were a winner in the hot watch as a result of that for the 9-game hitting streak, Ryan. You got a big smile on your face. Good sign for Eric Hosmer, just kind of doing what the pitcher gives him, using the entire field. If it's up the middle, use it. Pull the ball if you have to. We've seen him go the other way. Hit it where it's pitched.
And now Hosmer takes off, and that was a hit and run. That's why Johnny Giavotella took the swing that he did. At least I'm assuming that's a hit and run.
That was definitely an emergency swing, so I would say it was a hit and run. He's just got to protect the runner. Here we see Johnny. He's got to swing regardless of where this pitch is. He's got to try to protect the runner. Ball way inside on him. Not much he could do.
Well, he kept his hands inside the ball. There's no doubt about that. As difficult as it was to do that.
Yeah, ideally, you want to hit the ball to the second base side, and that's what he was trying to do.
If it was a hit and run, the job of the runner is not to get a great jump. It's just to get into motion. He's not trying to steal the base. He's just trying to get going. But Hosmer had a huge jump on that play. So he read something from Blackburn. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Eric Hosmer is actually a really good base runner. I think Nick Blackburn just kind of fell asleep at the wheel, didn't think he was going to go, and sure enough, I think if Johnny hadn't got wood on that ball, it would have been a stolen base.
And Hosmer was looking into home plate for about 2 or 3 strides, so maybe more evidence that it was a hit and run.
Blackburn now going to pay a little more attention to him just to make sure he doesn't start without him at least giving him a good solid look back.
Jeff Manship, who was going to pitch, the Twins figured at some point tonight, is warming up in the bullpen. Grounded to Carroll. They get the out at second base, and the Twins turn it into a double play.
A lot of times the manager will start the runner on a hit and run to try to eliminate the double play situation. Here, without Eric Hosmer running, ground ball right to third base, it's a fairly easy double play.
It's not as impressive, but it's similar, Nick Blackburn, to Francisco Liriano last night. Liriano was very shaky in the first inning. Had a stretch there where he absolutely couldn't find the strike zone, but he really pulled it together. And now Blackburn, after giving up 2 runs in a shaky first inning, now has 3 consecutive scoreless innings. T-shirt Tuesday is on June 12th against the Milwaukee Brewers. And the first 10,000 fans receive a Homegrown Heroes themed T-shirt presented by Kia. Gates open at 5:30, so you want to get here early for that. Go to Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday or call 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. And we'll say it again. We aren't making any promises, but if you project the starting pitchers for that Tuesday game with the Milwaukee Brewers, that as of today is the spot where Zach Greinke will pitch for Milwaukee.
So between the Zach Greinkes and the T-shirts, should be a nice crowd here on hand at the K.
Alexi Casilla, Darren Mastroianni, and Ben Revere coming up in the 5th inning. Casilla struck out against Luis Mendoza in the 2nd. And if you weren't with us earlier and you turned on your television and you see the Royals in front 2-1 in the 5th inning, and you're asking yourself, why isn't Felipe Paulino out there? Well, Paulino had to leave because of a groin strain in the top of the 1st. And an unearned run was charged to him in that 1st inning. Luis Mendoza has gone 3 1/3 scoreless. Little bit inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Mendoza really appears to be commanding the ball well. That's good to see. Oftentimes you sit out in the bullpen for a week plus without getting game action, regardless of how much work you get in to try to stay sharp in the bullpen. You bring it into the game and you're not as sharp, but he's looked very sharp tonight.
Two and two. He's kept the ball down. He has recorded 10 outs since coming on in the 1st, and only 2 of those have been in the air. Got himself out of a mess last inning. The Twins had runners at 1st and 2nd and nobody out, and he got a ground ball double play from Trevor Plouffe, a ground ball from Brian Dozier, and got out of that. Still 2 and 2.
Yeah, Lou Mendoza oftentimes just kind of like a guy that does well coming off the bench, you know, maybe as a 4th outfielder. Sometimes you maybe get that identity as of being a 4th outfielder. For Luis Mendoza, what I've seen, he's a guy that's been really good in this long situation coming in out of the pen. I know he'd like to start, at least I assume he would like to start, as opposed to being a long man out of the bullpen, but gosh, he sure looked good in these opportunities so maybe he's finding himself a home as a long relief guy.
And sometimes the long relief guy, it's 3 innings in the middle of the game, but you need somebody who can handle this. No mental preparation at all for coming in this early in the game, but he's been ready to go ever since coming through the gate in the 1st inning. And not only did he come in the 1st inning, but he came on with 2 runners on and 2 outs. He allowed an inherited runner to score on kind of a fluke double, a ground ball off of Eric Hosmer's glove. But the Twins have been scoreless since. And now Casilla, who fell behind 0-2, has filled out the count. And he strikes out again. Only 2 strikeouts for Mendoza, and both of them are against Alexi Casilla.
You'll see how this ball kind of bottoms out. A little slider. It's either a cutter or a slider, just bottoms out at the end, and that's really what you want to see. You want to see that late life. It doesn't matter if it's your sinker, your fastball, or whatever it's going to be. You want to see late life, and that's what we see on that pitch there from Mendoza.
Mendoza made a nice play on a ground ball from Darren Mastroianni in the 2nd inning, and now Mastroianni thinking about a bunt. Signed by Minnesota in February after beginning his career in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Hosmer crosses the line, and there are 2 outs. Now look at our AT trivia question for tonight. Who was the losing pitcher in the 1973 All-Star game here at then Royals Stadium? The losing pitcher in the 1973 All-Star game in Kansas City.
Can you give me a clue and tell me who won the game?
I believe the National League won that game. Ben Revere leading off, very similar to the Royals giving Alcides Escobar the night off. Minnesota doing the same for Denard Span, who is 0 for his last 14. Ben Revere had a 3-hit game on Monday night. Had a pinch hit late last night, and he is 0 for 2 so far tonight. And Betancourt goes diving up the middle, but it's under his glove, and Revere has a 2-out single. I don't remember any details of the All-Star game in '73 other than Johnny Bench hit a monster home run to left field. I believe Bobby Bonds hit a home run in that All-Star game. Big John Mayberry went 1 for 3.
I think Big John had a double, if I'm not mistaken.
Did Amos Otis have a couple of hits representing the Royals in that game?
We're going to go back and see Johnny Bench go deep here at now Kauffman Stadium, then Royal Stadium.
And that cleared the old GA, which they used to refer to the seats in the right field and the left field corner, general admission, the GA section. That cleared the GA and went up into the concession stands. We saw a similar home run. I think it was your last year with the Royals. Terry Matthews was pitching for KC, and Mark McGuire in an interleague game with St. Louis hit one out there.
I didn't remember who was pitching, but I do remember McGuire hitting one, probably one of the farthest balls I've seen hit the left field in this ballpark. Saw Bo Jackson hit a blast to center field that is the longest ball I've seen hit in this ballpark.
Both Mendoza and Quintero are picking on Ben Revere.
See the throw over. Back just in time. The Bo Jackson home run, I remember, Ryan, was his first day back from the disabled list off Randy Johnson. And he had hit 3 home runs in New York. He dove to try to catch a ball, separated his shoulder, went on the DL. 6 weeks later, he comes back against the big unit and hits a ball almost off the scoreboard in center field.
One of the many things that only Bo Jackson could do. Three balls, 1 strike on Jamie Carroll. He reached on the Betancourt error in the first inning and scored on Domit's double to put Minnesota ahead for a half inning, and then Betancourt hit the 2-run home run in the bottom of the first. And now Carroll walks. So after 2 outs, the Twins get a single and a walk. That's Mendoza's first walk. And now getting into the middle of the order. Well, that highlight, the Johnny Bench home run, that might be a hint. That was Bill Singer, who was pitching for the Angels, giving up the home run to Johnny Bench, who I think was the MVP of the All-Star game. But it was Bert Blyleven, who has more wins than any pitcher in history against the Royals. Bert Blyleven is not part of the Twins broadcast team during this series. That's Ron Coomer, the former Twins third baseman, on the left, and longtime television voice Dick Bramer on the right. But Bert Blyleven is the primary television analyst, inducted into the Hall of Fame after a long wait last summer, and similar to the experience that George Brett had the year after he went into the Hall of Fame, the season after can be a very busy one for a new inductee.
Well, I remember when we were in Minnesota last year, Bert talking about all the appearance opportunities and the fact that he was likely going to have to cut back a little bit of his television work. I spoke with Ron Coomer, who's taking the games that Bert is not doing, and he is getting a lot of work, right, as far as Ronnie says.
Josh Willingham singled in the first inning, giving him a 10-game hitting streak, and then grounded back to Mendoza, who made a nice play for the final out of the third. And that's what Mendoza's looking for here, a final out of the inning against Willingham, who has 11 home runs, 39 RBIs. Willingham has 4 hits in this series, and one of those is a 2-run home run. Hit that off of Will Smith in game 1 in the first inning. That was Monday. Inside, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Well, Josh Willingham is a guy that Luis Mendoza really wants to get out in this situation, because Justin Morneau's standing in the on-deck circle. We know what kind of damage he's been able to do against the Kansas City Royals.
Look at how shallow Gerard Dyson is in center field, and Alex Gordon in left, and even Jeff Francoeur in right with Willingham up there. And the count is 3 balls and 1 strike.
I think that I actually may have hit him on the wrist or hit him on the hand.
Ned Yost doesn't think so. Humberto Quintero doesn't think so. Ned comes running out, trying to keep Quintero in the game. Remember, Humberto was ejected during the Oakland series, getting into it with the home plate umpire. Alfonso Marquez is the home plate umpire tonight, and he's convinced that that pitch on the way to the plate got Willingham on the hand.
Now, a lot of people think that the hand is part of the bat. It is if you're swinging, it would be a foul ball, but he was not swinging, so if you get hit in the hand, then it's just like getting hit on any other part of the body.
Well, it does look like the ball redirected, and
I think it hit
down.
the bat handle. That's what it looked like to me. It hit the bat handle. I think Josh Willingham just pulled one off on Alfonso Marquez.
So they're loaded up for Justin Morneau, who has an infield single and a fly out to center. Breaks his bat, and he hits it into left field, and that is going to be worth possibly 2 runs, and it is, as Jamie Carroll beats the throw. Minnesota leads 3-2.
Justin Morneau only hitting .230 on the year, but he does have 29 RBIs. Here he gets number 30 and 31. Breaks his bat, goes to left. Alex Gordon comes up throwing, but just not enough. Morneau has been quite a hitter against the Royals.
Well, whether Willingham was hit or not, that's the way it was ruled. And after 2 outs and nobody on, a Ben Revere single, then a walk to Jamie Carroll. Willingham ruled to be hit by a pitch, and loading the bases for Justin Morneau.
Let's take another look at this pitch to Willingham, see if we can tell for sure what happens here. Really not decisive, but I still thought it hit off of the bat handle. This angle is a little better, I think.
Or maybe the knob.
Yeah, that's what I meant, on the very bottom, the knob of the bat.
Ball one to Ryan Domet, who has 2 hits tonight. Singled in the 4th, doubled in a run in the 1st. Before that, he had been 0 for 9.
See Kelvin Herrera throwing down in the Royals bullpen with the off day tomorrow. I'm sure Ned will not waste time on going to the bullpen if there's any more trouble here in this inning.
He went, and it's 1-1. Domit coming over from the Pirates, where he was a second-round pick in 1999. Very versatile player. He is a switch hitter, first of all. He can catch, and he can also play the outfield. Grounded to Hosmer. Mendoza goes to the bag to end the inning. Minnesota scores 2 runs with 2 outs, and they take a 3-2 lead into the bottom of the 5th. For the 5th, the Royals, in conjunction with the MLB All-Star Game, are offering fans a limited edition All-Star brick. Fans can purchase a personalized brick that includes the commemorative All-Star Game logo, and your brick will be installed and on display outside the stadium. If you're interested, go to Royals.com/bricks for more information. Royals were down 1-0 when they came to bat in the bottom of the 1st. Yuniesky Betancourt hit a 2-run home run to put the Royals in front. And now Justin Morneau is driven in 2 in the top of the 5th. Royals are coming back with Humberto Quintero, Alex Gordon, and Betancourt. Chop to Dozier, who gets a nice big hop, and over to Plouffe for the first out. Quintero is 0 for 2. And now Nick Blackburn starting to hit his stride after a shaky first inning where he gave up a single, a home run. A runner reached on an error. He also allowed a walk. And now the Royals have just 2 hits since the first inning.
And the Twins have had guys up in the bullpen at various times during this game, but Nick Blackburn has just continued to battle out there, and he's really kind of got into a groove and hit his stride now.
Alex singled to left center in the 1st, scored on the Betancourt home run. He is 1 for 2. That is inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Didn't get the corner. Now Alex in front 3-0. And Blackburn, maybe this is a sign that he's feeling better about his pitches. He has really picked up his tempo. A 4-pitch walk. Blackburn's 2nd walk and his 1st since the 1st. And now Betancourt, last time he came up with Alex Gordon at first base, he did this.
Yeah, we're going back here to the 1st inning. Alex Gordon on first. Hello, State Farm.
It's only the second day off for Alcides Escobar, the Royals' regular shortstop. So he had played in 53 of the first 54 games. An off day tomorrow, so he'll get a long break as the Royals prepare for the Pittsburgh Pirates beginning on Friday night in Pittsburgh. And in that preparation, we saw Royals pitchers getting their swings in during the homestand. You try and talk to Ned Yost about who can swing the bat as far as his pitchers go, and he wants no part of it. All he wants to talk about is whether they'll be able to bunt if that situation presents itself. What do you think, Joel? You keep close tabs on that.
Well, you know, we did ask Ned the other day about who's a good hitter on this team as far as pitchers go, and did he not say no one?
I think the question was, who was the best hitter? And he said there is no best hitter.
No, and I don't really remember having anybody, I mean, since Greinke, I guess, that could really hit. And we all thought maybe Danny Duffy would be that guy.
Brian Bannister could hit a little bit.
Bannister, Greinke, so it's been a couple of years, though. Shen seems to be the guy that every year gets one hit. He's kind of like the Mitch Meyer of pitching. He'll go 1 for 1 or 1 for 2 and lead the team in hitting at the end of the year. So he figures out a way to do that. Talking to Alcides Escobar when he was walking in today, and he was, excited to, not excited, but happy to get a day off and ready for Pittsburgh. But we forget, we talk so much about Greinke coming here, that Escobar very excited, he told me, to be able to get the first chance to face his former team, the Milwaukee Brewers.
A little extra motivation for him, and we just saw Vin Mazzaro and the Royals dugout. He just had a little extra incentive when he got to face his former team for the first time and pitched 6 scoreless innings on Sunday against the A's.
He earned the bragging rights.
Pitch stayed up, but Betancourt pops it up. AT KCA brings it down. Betancourt is 1 for 3. Let's get an update on our Sprint You Call It question for tonight. Speaking of Vin Mazzaro, who had the most encouraging start during this homestand. And as Monty pointed out, the operative word is encouraging, not best, but encouraging, and the fans are going with you.
Well, when we saw Vin Mazzaro last year, I don't think anyone would have expected him to go out and throw 6 innings of shutout baseball anytime, in a Royals uniform, based on the way things went in his debut as a Royal. But really looked great in that game on Sunday against the A's. Just looked in command, and we talked to some people from the Oakland broadcast crew, and they were talking about how he was a guy that was ranked right up there with the top guys in the athletics organization as far as their pitching prospects at one time. So he's always had stuff and always had potential, but we saw that on Sunday.
And the class that he was in included Trevor Cahill and Brett Anderson, and as you said, Vin Mazzaro at one time was ahead of those two. Two and one on Billy Butler, and twice Blackburn has gotten Billy to roll a ground ball over to Jamie Carroll at third. And that's a little bit inside. 3 balls, 1 strike. Blackburn, in giving up 2 runs in the first inning, he threw 34 pitches, and even though he's cruised for the most part since then, he's still paying the price, and he's coming up on 90 pitches as Billy takes a strike, and his next pitch will be his 90th. And once again, Jeff Manship is warming up behind him in the bullpen, and that was the plan before the game started. It would be a combination of Blackburn and Manship and possibly others tonight. So a full count, and with 2 outs, Alex runs and Billy grounds it up the middle. Alex around second, he'll go to third.
That's a really nice at bat by Billy Butler. Talked earlier about Eric Hosmer maybe being a little more disciplined at the plate, waiting for a pitch he can hit, and that's what Billy Butler does right here. He gets a pitch that he can put good wood on and does a nice job driving the ball up the middle. Billy's always just so composed at the plate. He's got head on the bat, on the ball.
Well, Rick Anderson is out there, not Ron Gardenhire, so rather than go with a fresh arm, it'll be Blackburn to face Moustakas. And Moustakas had a 3-hit game against the Twins on Monday night with a couple of doubles and a home run. He's 0 for 2 tonight, but one of those outs was a line out to right.
I'm sure Rick Anderson, the Twins pitching coach, and Ron Gardenhire are very happy with what they've got from Nick Blackburn up to this point, but I'm sure they're hopeful that he can get this final out of the 5th inning, not only to qualify for the win, but maybe get more than what they really expected to get out of him coming off the disabled list with the quad injury.
And a curveball drops in for a strike. Minnesota's 2 runs in the top of this inning to take the lead came with 2 outs. Now the Royals batting with 2 on, 2 out. Just got underneath it. Had a good swing, and he will fly out to Mastroianni, and the Royals strand 2 in the 5th inning. To the 6th, Minnesota 3 and the Royals 2. With Minnesota as we go to the 6th inning. Brian Lefebvre with Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery, who's going to be with us the next 5 telecasts through Pittsburgh and then back here against the Milwaukee Brewers. And the Royals playing another close game. Good chance to win it. Just down by 1 going into the 6th, but a big loss when they lost Felipe Paulino in the very first inning tonight.
Yeah, it's a very tough break for Felipe Paulino. Ball goes off of his right leg, and then he's trying to gather himself, get to the ball, and make a play at first base. And I have a feeling that when he's making that sprint to get the ball and the throw, he may have pulled that groin.
That could have been it right there.
Yeah, just a really tough, awkward situation for a pitcher who's not accustomed to fielding balls like that to make.
You know, we were all very surprised after Paulino left. And by the way, he didn't leave right after that play. He faced 3 more batters and then departed with 2 outs. Head trainer Nick Kenny went out there with Ned Yost. They talked with Paulino again. He came out. We just assumed that he had some sort of a bruise to that right leg. And then the announcement over the public address system here in the broadcast booth that Paulino left because of a groin injury that had nothing to do with the line drive off of his leg.
Right. I think it's a good sign that he was able to stay in and face 2 or 3 more batters at least. And obviously he showed something that Nick Kenny and the training staff they had concern about, but the fact that he was able to go out and pitch, that's a good sign.
Popped up. Hosmer is out with Giavotella, and Hosmer, that is a foul ball catch. Trevor Floof is 0 for 3. Well, if you're hitting the road, you can take the Royals with you this summer. Subscribe to MLB.tv to see every Royals out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Royals.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Brian Dozier is flied out and grounded out. Royals had a 2-1 lead into the top of the 5th inning with 2 outs and nobody on. The Twins got a single from Revere, a walk from Carroll. Willingham was hit by a pitch, and Justin Morneau drove in 2 with a single. Jammed him badly. Giavotella will handle it, so 2 pop-ups, 2 down in the 6th. The defensive play of the game so far turned in by Mike Moustakas back in the 4th inning, brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd. Floof hits a nice shot to the Moose, makes a turn to go the other way to 3rd base and back to 1st for the double play. Outstanding play.
That was the 15th time Moustakas has been part of a double play, and that's the most among third basemen in the American League.
Well, Mike Moustakas is going to get some consideration for playing third base for the American League All-Stars, I would guess, based on the way he's played defense, the way he's had that consistent year at the plate. I know he would take it. It'd be a great thrill for him. If he is not an All-Star in his first full Major League season, I have a feeling there are going to be multiple All-Star games in his future.
And maybe a Gold Glove or 2, which was not part of the discussion when he came up. Feeling was that he was an adequate third baseman, that he wouldn't be a liability at third, but it would continue to be a work in progress in his career. And you'd have to say he's an above average third baseman, easily an above average third baseman.
There were people who had some concerns about his body type, maybe not being a guy who's going to be in great shape all the time. He came to spring training in great shape. He's maintained it during the season. He's just a guy that works hard and has a lot of fun doing it.
Drafted as a shortstop by the Royals out of high school, and then played a season and a half in the minor leagues at short. And that was in the first round of 2007. So it wasn't until the middle of the 2008 season that he started focusing on third base. So Mendoza walks Alexi Casilla. That's a bad sign. Casilla had struck out twice, and a bad enough sign that Ned Yost thinks that Mendoza's at the end of his line tonight. Well, he came on with 2 outs in the first inning. He gets the game into the 6th after the Royals lost Felipe Paulino to a groin injury. So Kelvin Herrera comes on with a Chevy call to the bullpen. 3-2 Minnesota in the 6th. lines. Picking up for Felipe Paulino, Kelvin Herrera is in. Be a part of the All-Star action this summer in Kansas City by coming out to Taco Bell All-Star Sunday here at the ballpark. That's July 8th. 2 exciting events and a spectacular fireworks show to end the evening. The Sirius XM All-Star Futures Game. The next generation of Major League stars from the minor leagues, and also the Hall of Famers, Royals legends, and your favorite celebrities in the Taco Bell All-Star Legends and Celebrity Softball Game. Tickets at 1-888 Fan Fest. KCA takes off. He is safe. Just barely beat the throw. And again, that was Quintero throwing from his knees.
KCA gets such a good jump here off Kelvin Herrera. The only chance for Quintero to throw him out was from his knees, and he gave it a shot, just was not quite enough on the throw.
Good fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Mastroianni. And against Luis Mendoza, he grounded back to the mound and fouled out to first. Two and two.
Kelvin Herrera lent a hand in the first 2 shutouts of this homestand. Opportunity here to maybe preserve a base runner, strand the base runner on second base here, maybe come in and get a win himself.
Pulled to Betancourt. And that's the inning. Very close at first base. Man. Twins are scoreless in the 6th. By 1, it's our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Teresa Carlson from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Teresa wins $900. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Teresa wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Jeff Francoeur, Eric Hosmer, Johnny Giavitella to face Jeff Manship. And this was part of the plan for Ron Gardenhire, hoping to get 4 or 5 innings out of Nick Blackburn, and he would be piggybacked by Manship. Blackburn goes 5, gives up 2 runs, and no runs since the first inning.
See Manship here. He's going to be a low to mid 90s fastball guy. He's got the sliders, cuts the ball a little bit. He was called up from Rochester AAA on the 27th of May. He's only made one appearance since his arrival. He did get a loss in that appearance against the Oakland A's.
Francoeur goes the other way. It's foul. Still 0-2. Francoeur reached on an error in the first, flied out to center in the third. Little bit high. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jeff Manship in 2009 got his first major league win against the Royals. Two balls, 2 strikes. Drafted by the Twins out of Notre Dame in 2006 to the big leagues in 2009. And he was on the shuttle in 2010. He was called up 5 different times to the Twins in 2010.
I wonder if they had a shuttle that had as many pitchers on it as the Royals have used up and down I-29 this year.
Well, right now the shuttle is headed in the right direction in that we've got Everett Tiefer going to Omaha on a rehab assignment. Francoeur, and it's caught at third by Jamie Carroll.
Jeff Francoeur has a really nice swing, goes the other, or he pulls the ball here, pitch outside. Carroll with just the right place at the right time.
And he was supposed to be the Twins shortstop this year, but with Danny Valencia being sent down to the minor leagues, that opened up third base for Carroll, who can play just about anywhere on the infield, and in a pinch he could be used in the outfield. 1-1 on Eric Hosmer. He walked in the first inning, singled in the fourth, and now Hosmer has a 9-game hitting streak, and he's batting .222. One ball, 2 strikes.
See Eric Hosmer with 7 home runs on the year. This would just be a tremendous opportunity for number 8.
And he chops it to first, and Kloof will go to the bag. 2 down. So Hosmer's batting average will go down a couple of points, but still you wonder when was the last time he was hitting that high. It was .222 going into that at bat. And the answer would be April 25th. He got 2 hits at Cleveland and was hitting .225. But that's when the slump began. He went 0 for 5 the next day, 0 for 5 the day after that, 0 for 4, 0 for 4. And that dropped his average down to 180. It got as low as 172. So 172 to 222, that's 50 points in a very short period of time, which isn't that easy to do when you're 1/3 of the way into the season.
You're right, and it's just like when a pitcher starts a season in the hole as far as earned runs. You got to chip away for a while once you get this time of year to work those numbers down.
Giavotella struck out in the first, grounded into a double play in the fourth. And now he is 0 for his last 9. Minnesota bullpen has really picked up the rotation all year, and lately they have allowed just 2 earned runs in the last 20 innings. And they're going to need at least 4 innings from the bullpen tonight.
I was talking with Twins pitching coach Rick Anderson a little bit yesterday about the Twins staff, and he was comparing the Royals versus the Twins, and he said, you guys have all these flamethrowers coming in from the bullpen. We don't have any of those real power arms coming in like the Royals do, but their bullpen has been very effective as of late.
Rick Anderson pitched very briefly with the Royals in 1987, and in 1988 also spent some time at AAA Omaha.
Rick and I played in Omaha together, then we were called up to Kansas City about the same time, actually.
Now, you don't hear his name come up, but he was part of a very famous trade in Royals history.
I think
I
know what it was.
call it a notorious trade. Go ahead.
Was that the Ed Hearn trade?
For
David Cone.
David Cone. So you always hear about Ed Hearn coming to Kansas City, David Cone going to the Mets, but Rick Anderson was part of that trade, coming over from the New York Mets. 2-2 on Giavotella.
And that's where Rick Anderson and Ron Gardenhire got to know each other with playing in the Mets organization. He's done a great job with the Twins pitching staff over the years. He has been very frustrated these last few years between the injuries and the ineffectiveness of his staff.
Giavotella punches it into center field for a 2-out base hit. So that snaps the 0 for 9. And a man on with 2 outs. You know, one thing that's amazing about what the Twins have done on the mound, and there are very few amazing things to talk about, is that even with the high ERA, a team ERA of over 5, they're in last place by several points. I mean, there's the first 13 teams in the American League, and then there's the Twins. They're on an island with the highest ERA, and their starting rotation ERA is right around 6. They still have the fewest walks in the league. Think about that. That's remarkable. Almost every team or individual pitchers, when they're having a bad year, walks is usually the #1 culprit.
And that's really been a trademark of any Twins pitchers. You have to be able to throw strikes. You have to pound the strike zone. They start working guys in the minor leagues, conditioning them to do that.
Dyson to shallow right field. Mastroianni makes the play, and at the end of 6, Minnesota still leads by 1. Thoroughbred Ford. The best deals on new Fords are at thoroughbredford.com. And by AT&T Uverse, the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. Royals going for their first winning homestand of this month. Down by 1 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. That is Kelvin Herrera, name spelled correctly on the back of his jersey. Our crew of investigators, of sleuths, discover that that doesn't quite say manship, does it?
At least not in English.
No.
Maybe a different pronunciation up in the Twin Cities.
Now, there's also another wardrobe issue with the Minnesota Twins. That's Dick Bramer, longtime television broadcaster for the Twins. and was one of my mentors when I was there. He showed up today, we hear, and he forgot his tie. This is a travel day for the Twins. Ben Revere with great speed. That's an automatic triple. So Herrera has his hands full in a one-run game in the 7th inning with a runner at third, nobody out. 2-hit game for Revere. 5 hits in the series, and that's just starting 2 of the games.
Ryan just shows you it doesn't matter how hard you throw. You get the ball up in the strike zone, allow the bat head to get out in front, extended. Can do some damage at this level.
So anyway, travel day, and this has happened to all of us. You know, you pack everything up, and they come and get your bags before you leave the hotel. And so it's very easy to pack your shoes or pack your belt, and then, you know, your bags are gone. Well, we hear that Dick packed away all of his ties. So he came to the ballpark. We have very strict rules. The Twins are also a Fox affiliate. And that is a Nate Bukaty tie that Dick Bramer is wearing. Jamie Carroll, who really got things going for the Twins with an important walk in the 5th inning with 2 outs. Now he singles in a run, and Minnesota has a 2-run lead. Jamie Carroll's had an outstanding series against the Royals.
Yeah, once again, when you see the ball get up in the strike zone, regardless of the velocity, big league hitter is going to make you pay for it, especially with the infield in. All you got to do is make contact, and you got a good chance of getting the ball through the infield.
It's his first hit. He has scored twice. He has an RBI. And Jamie Carroll has a 5-hit series, and it's not getting any easier now, and Herrera almost threw it away, with Josh Willingham coming up, followed by Morneau and Domit. Willingham singled in the 1st. He was hit by a pitch in the 5th. And this is a hitter with 11 home runs, 39 RBIs, 18 doubles, and a 10-game hitting streak. 0-1.
Good to see Kelvin Herrera mix in a breaking ball. I think that's one thing that makes his fastball that much better, is if he's got a great changeup, but when he throws his curveball for strikes, it really sets up both of his out pitches.
One ball, one strike.
And Kelvin Herrera is a guy that is a little unusual, at least to me. Oftentimes guys, when they get the ball up, they have better velocity, but it seems like he has better velocity when his pitches are down in the strike zone. So you got a changeup grip here.
And Willingham put a fastball swing on it. 1-2. And another changeup. Willingham strikes out, 1 away.
Has great confidence in that changeup, throwing it back-to-back situations. So you can see his grip where from behind you can tell it's going to be a changeup, but it has great life, great finish, and the 20-mile-an-hour difference off his fastball just makes it a really effective pitch.
And with left-hand hitting Justin Morneau coming up, he'll be facing his former teammate Jose Mijares when we come back. in the 7th inning. He's still responsible for a runner at first base. And with one out, it's Jose Mijares, the former Minnesota Twin, making his 29th appearance. Number 28 was Monday night in a Royals loss, but he pitched an inning and a third and struck out 3, including a strikeout of Justin Morneau, who comes up and takes strike 1. Morneau has 2 hits, including a 2-run single in the 5th inning.
Mijares didn't have a real consistent year with the Twins last year, so they didn't re-sign him. That's how he was able to sign here with the Kansas City Royals, but he's been a very consistent, effective relief pitcher for Ned Yost and the Royals bullpen.
Conditioning was a concern for the Twins at the end of his tenure in Minnesota, but showed up in good shape with the Royals. That has not been a concern while he's been in KC. 1 ball, 1 strike. Signed by the Twins out of their Venezuelan academy in 2002 and made his big league debut in 2008. Just missed the corner. It's 2-1.
Got a nice low 90s fastball, but I like how he has the ability to throw 2 different breaking balls. He's got a slider that he really torques a lot and gets a lot of sweeping action. He's got that really a real more tight slider that just has a little bit of a late break to it.
2-2. Last time up, Justin Morneau turned a Minnesota deficit into a Minnesota lead in our AT&T Uverse reverse replay.
You know, he breaks his bat, goes down and gets one. Alex Gordon comes up firing, but just not enough to throw out the plate here.
Got it in on him, and Moustakas runs to the camera bay, but it's in the first row. The RBIs for Morneau gives him 31, so he's on pace for about 90 this season, which would be a nice bounce back for him after dealing with all those injuries last year. Played in just 69 games. Also spent a little bit of time on the disabled list this year. Got him looking at a fastball, and Morneau knew it. So Jose Mijares against his former team so far, an inning and 2/3 and 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, look really sharp on that at bat against Morneau. Real quality batter, but a quality pitch oftentimes wins, and it did here. It's like he got out the paintbrush, painted that black on the corner.
And now strike on Domit, who dug in for the first time tonight in a little slump. 0 for 9. Doubled in a run in the first. Just a high bouncer that went off the tip of Eric Hosmer's glove at first. That was a double and an RBI. And he singled in the 4th. Batting right-handed and popping it up. Long run Giavotella, and he makes the play. Minnesota adds a run. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are down by 2.
Royal, Mike Moustakas has already proven that no liner is too hot, no pitch unhittable, and no moment is too big for the 23-year-old sophomore sensation. Show your appreciation by voting for the Royals' third baseman. Crown a Royal. Vote Mike Moustakas to the 2012 All-Star Game in Kansas City.
Royals down by 2 to the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Minnesota Twins have made another pitching change. So their plan was to piggyback Blackburn and Manship, but Manship goes 1 inning. And now Jared Burton, who was very impressive on Monday night in Minnesota's 10-7 win. He came on in the 8th and got through Billy Butler, Mike Moustakas, and Jeff Francoeur, all of those outs with strikeouts.
Yeah, he's probably the one guy out of the Minnesota bullpen that would be considered more of a power type guy, but has a really good slider. He's got a deceptive delivery as well.
"23 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 21 in a third innings." One and one on Quintero. He has grounded out twice. Alex Gordon will follow him, and then Yuniesky Betancourt. And Betancourt hit a 2-run home run in the first inning to put the Royals in front 2-1, and they have not scored since. And it is 1-2. Jared Burton, we told you on Monday, is 1 year removed from shoulder surgery. Started last season on the disabled list and then had surgery on the right shoulder. It was the second time he's had surgery on his shoulder, but showing no ill effects of that. An opponent's batting average of 192. Another foul ball from Quintero.
Big bodied pitcher, 6'5", 230 pounder, so recovered well from the surgeries he's had.
Another foul ball. Two and two. A scoreless inning from Manship, so that improves the Twins' recent run out of the bullpen to just 2 earned runs over the last 21 innings pitched. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Royals have won 7 of their last 10 games. Minnesota's won 6 of its last 8 games. And Quintero is down on strikes. So a long battle, but Burton picks up his 4th strikeout against 4 Royals batters in this series.
Yeah, Burton's been very impressive. First time we've had a chance to really see him, but not afraid to challenge hitters. Really attacks the strike zone. So with his stuff and his approach, it looks like he's going to do just great with this Minnesota Twins bullpen.
Alex reaching, and it's a one-hopper to KCA, who turns all the way around and throws him out. Alex 1 for 3 with a walk tonight. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Jeff Montgomery and Joel Goldberg at Kauffman Stadium, along with 18,386 with director Steve Kurtenbach, producer Joe Lavero, our associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson. And a special hello to our normal technical director, Richard the Rocket Harlan, who is recuperating, not with us tonight, but at home watching, I'm sure, and we're looking forward to getting him back into the truck. Ground ball, that foul ball from Unievsky Betancourt clipped Billy Butler. It was, you know, we say standing in the on-deck circle, and the Royals are one of the teams that have decided, you know, why even put an on-deck circle out there? Nobody stands on it anymore. And Billy is very close to home plate where he's standing. So you better make sure you keep your eyes on home plate. A little check swing line drive, and I don't care how fast you are, how athletic you are, how quick your reflexes are, you're going to get drilled.
Well, the hitters apparently like to stand in the grass as opposed to in the sand and gravel.
That's another impressive inning for Jared Burton, and now at the end of 7, the Royals still haven't scored since the first, and they're down by 2.
Stadium. Panera takes us around the league. New York 4-1 over Tampa Bay. How about Detroit losing again to Cleveland? And it was sloppy play. Brennan Bosch error in the first leads to 3 runs with 2 outs. And Max Scherzer rocking that one. Baltimore beats Boston. More scores for you as we see that Toronto is about to close out the White Sox. Seattle on top of LA early. Texas and Oakland are scoreless. So, guys, how about that? On a night where everybody is lost or might be losing, the Royals, currently tied with Detroit, could jump ahead of them if they come back in this game. But how about Max Scherzer, guys? 4 1/3, 8 runs, 5 of them were earned. And Brendan Bosch, that error in the first. Things not going well for Detroit.
I would say so. Thank you, Joel. So they are 6 games below 500, the Tigers are. And that's where the Royals are at the moment. Aaron Crow, who was a college teammate of Max Scherzer, begins the top of the 8th inning. Scherzer, he had a 15 strikeout game a couple of weeks ago and backed that one up with a 9 strikeout game. And
he has shown flashes of dominance and brilliance, but he just has not been able to consistently put it together out there. Biggest surprise to you, Chicago or Detroit in the standings?
Oh boy, I'm going to say Detroit.
I think me too.
Yeah. Chicago, now they're 7 games above 500, which is impressive, don't get me wrong. But they are far from running away with the division. But the Detroit Tigers 6 games below, and there's plenty of time for them to turn things around. But if the Royals could come back and win tonight, and the Tigers wake up tomorrow and find themselves in 4th place, and Minnesota certainly has their issues, but they're playing better. They've won 6 of their last 8 games. It'll always take me back to 2008 when you talk about big expectations and the Detroit Tigers. Good start for Aaron Crow as he strikes out Plouffe. Plouffe is 0 for 4. But 2008, when everybody had the Tigers winning the division, and the Royals, remember, went in there and swept the series to begin the season, and the Tigers ended up in last place.
I think when the Tigers signed Prince Fielder in February, everyone assumed that they were going to be a runaway winner with the American League Central, but just has not worked out that way. They've had some injuries, they've had some guys that have not performed guys' expectations. Hard to figure that one out. Now Chicago, you got a new manager. You think the manager has more to do with it, or Adam Dunn has more to do with it?
Drilled into the left field corner, and that is a foul ball off the bat of Brian Dozier, who has 2 home runs this year. Well, I had some people tell me in spring training, and everybody can try and predict what's going to happen in a season in spring training, but so many things can happen. But this particular person, and he wasn't the only one, really felt like the White Sox were going to be a surprise simply because there was no more Ozzie Guillen. And Ozzie Guillen did some wonderful things when he was in Chicago. Got them a World Series championship and ended a long drought. But after a while, it was more of a detriment than anything else, and it was time for him to move on. And sure enough, we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But right now, the White Sox have played much better than everybody thought they were going to. 3-2 on Dozier.
I think Aaron Crow wanted that pitch. It's almost like a backup slider that fooled even the umpire.
Right to Dyson in center field. 2 outs in the 8th. This July, don't miss the biggest event of the summer, as baseball's greatest stars will be right here at Kauffman Stadium battling for home field advantage in the Fall Classic. And the road to the World Series begins with the 2012 MLB All-Star Game, Tuesday, July 10th, right here. And it's 6:30 on Fox. Strike 2, AT KCA. He has walked and struck out twice. 1-1. Curveball's a little high. 2 balls, 1 strike. Felipe Paulino had to leave with 2 outs in the first inning with a groin strain. Luis Mendoza went 5. Kelvin Herrera 2/3. Maharis 2/3. And now Aaron Crow will go a scoreless 8th inning. Royals are down to their last 6 outs on offense. And in the bottom of the 8th, Billy Butler, Mike Moustakas, and Jeff Francoeur are coming up. Are teaming up to help you stop smoking now. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Royals down 4-2. They had a 2-1 lead at the end of one. But now 6 consecutive scoreless innings against Blackburn, Manship, Burton. 1-1. Billy Butler singled in the 5th. He is 1 for 3. And he is 9 out of 20 against the Minnesota Twins this year. In addition to not scoring since the first inning, the Royals have not had a runner advance past first base but once since that first inning. Another strikeout for Burton. Boy, has he been impressive in this series. That's 2 1/3 innings and 6 strikeouts. However, Ron Gardenhire says that's enough. So you have Mike Moustakas coming up, and in the 8th inning, Ron Gardenhire is going to go to a lefty. So it'll be Glenn Perkins and Mike Moustakas when we come back. Game of the Royals Twins series will be in Pittsburgh on Friday for a 3-game interleague series. Saturday on Baseball Night in America, interleague play returns as the Royals and Pirates hook up. Baseball Night in America begins Saturday at 6 p.m. on Fox. Glenn Perkins and Mike Moustakas in a 2-run game with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Moustakas is 0 for 3 tonight. All 3 of those at bats against Nick Blackburn. Off the end of the bat and into left field for a base hit.
Mike Moustakas says, let's get Jared Burton out of there. Let's get Glenn Perkins in. Maybe we can do something off of him. And sure enough, leads off with a single.
Perkins faced 1 batter last night, and that's the only time he's been in the series, and he struck out Moustakas. That was the Royals' 1-0 win. And now right-hand batter Jeff Francoeur, followed by Eric Hosmer. And Francoeur looking for a first pitch fastball. It was at 97 miles an hour, and he fouls it back.
Yeah, Perkins has good stuff. He's got a quality breaking ball, quality changeup. Usually a mid-90s fastball. We've seen him as a starting pitcher a lot for the Minnesota Twins.
Good arm, left-hand pitcher, and he was their first-round pick in 2004, but inconsistent at best as a starter. He did go 12-4 in 2008, but 6-7 in 2009, 4-9, and high ERAs in 2009, 2010. So they moved him to the bullpen last year, and he seemed to find a home there as a setup man to closer Matt Capps, and that's what he's trying to do here tonight. Get the ball to Matt Capps with Minnesota still in front.
There are times when a change of scenery really does a pitcher good, going from the rotation out to the bullpen. Seems like with Glenn Perkins, I don't remember him throwing 96, 97 miles an hour before. Now there could be a little of the Kauffman Stadium gun included there, but still he's got that live fastball working tonight.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The scouting report on him, of course, this is something that maybe I wrote down 3 years ago, but he was a fastball 90 to 94.
Yeah, I always remember being like a mid-90s fastball at best.
Francoeur still alive at 2-2. Well, I've been telling you about the run that the Minnesota bullpen has been on, taking over in the 6th inning tonight after Nick Blackburn went 5. Manship hits a scoreless 6th. Burton a scoreless 7th. So the bullpen has allowed 2 earned runs in the last 22 innings. And now it's 3 balls and 2 strikes on Francoeur. Popped up. Went with a slider on 3-2. And Plouffe makes the play. There are 2 outs. That's a pretty good pitch by Perkins. I mean, he's running it up there, whether the radar gun is accurate or not. I mean, he's up there in the mid-90s. And with a chance of putting the tying run on with 1 out, Perkins goes with a 3-2 slider.
Well, that's the difference between a major league pitcher and someone who's really not established. They have the confidence to throw an off pitch in a 3-2 count with a tying run at the plate late in the ball game.
Ooh, Hosmer, and that was a slider that wasn't quite as sharp as the one that he threw to Francoeur. Perkins is lucky that Hosmer hit it back to the screen. Hosmer walked in the 1st, singled in the 4th, so he has a 9-game hitting streak. Grounded out in the 6th. He is 0 for 2 in the past against Perkins. And now 0 for 3. Perkins puts him away with a fastball at 97. So we go to the 9th. It's still 4-2 Minnesota. Wow.
Goldberg getting ready for Boulevard Royals Live up at Rivals. Jeff Montgomery will join me. The Royals trying to win a game for the first time on this homestand where the opposition scores a run. Can they come back? We'll talk about it, and also hope to hear from Felipe Paulino, Ned Yost, and talk about that injury early in the game. And we'll get you ready for interleague play. Games against the Pirates, Brewers, 6 against the Cardinals, and the Astros. But first, we finish this one up and see if the Royals can come back. We'll talk about it on Boulevard Royals Live. Ryan?
All right, thanks, Joel. It'll be Greg Holland in the top of the 9th inning to try and keep Minnesota at 4. And he is the 6th Royals pitcher tonight. And a lot of that has to do with how the game began. Felipe Paulino hit by a line drive from Ben Revere. That was the first batter of the game, but that didn't knock Paulino out. He stayed in to face 3 more hitters and then left with a groin strain. So Luis Mendoza had to come on in the first. Mastroianni begins the 9th with a base hit to right field. He is 1 for 4. So Paulino gave up 1 run. It was unearned. Mendoza went 5. That helped save the bullpen. He allowed 2. Kelvin Herrera gave up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Maharis, no runs in 2/3. Aaron Crow, a scoreless 8th. And now Greg Holland in the 9th. And the batter is Ben Revere, who is hitting .310. And Ben Revere got off to an awful start for the Twins. Hey, there's our stage manager, Doc Carruthers, on his way out to Rivals to make sure that Monty and Joel have all of their necessities. Make sure that the makeup artists are all ready for Boulevard Royals Live and that they have their hot tea.
Well, Doc does a fine job. He does a fine job, as everyone on our crew does.
But Revere was having a tough time just hitting the ball out of the infield. He wasn't hitting at all, so he was sent to the minor leagues after making the team out of spring training by the middle of April. He was in AAA, and now he has really pulled it together since then. Batting over .300, a ground ball that leads Betancourt to second, and that's a big double play, 2 down in the 9th. Before that at bat, Revere had 5 hits in the series.
Speedy Rivera, the only way you're going to double him up is have him hit it right at the bag, and that's exactly what happened. Uni taking it solo at second for the throw to first for the double play.
Jamie Carroll. He's had a heck of a series. He has 5 hits. He has scored 4 times. He has driven in 3. He has walked twice, and he has stolen a base. That's playing 2 games at third, where he is tonight, and 1 game at second.
He's a scrapper.
Made his big league debut 10 years ago at the age of 28. Just barely hanging on to his professional baseball career. And he's still going at it 10 years later. Told the story last night. He had finished his 6th year in the minor leagues with the Expos. He hadn't been to the big leagues. He figured he was going to leave Montreal as a 6-year minor league free agent, move on to another organization, but because of injuries, he was called up at the end of 2002 and hit over .300. He told me today that not only did he figure he was going to be leaving the Expos, but that he might be leaving baseball. He was offered a job as the dean of a school in Tampa, Florida. He was a substitute teacher during the offseason and starting to think very seriously about life after baseball. Wondering if anybody would call him in 2003. Well, somebody called him at the end of 2002, and it was the big leagues. And now 10 years later, he's still in the big leagues.
That's just a great story. Perseverance.
He was saying he had the thrill of a lifetime. the last 2 years, growing up in Indiana. And when you talk about Indiana and baseball players, it is Don Mattingly, and Don Mattingly. And that was his hitting coach 2 years ago and his manager last year. Down on strikes, Greg Holland has a scoreless ninth. Last call for the Royals. Matt Capps will pitch the ninth against Giavotella, Dyson, and Quintero. Bottom of the ninth. Royals down by 2. They had a 2-1 lead at the end of 1. They haven't scored since. Capps has saved 13, and he had to come on and save game 1 of the series on Monday. A game that Ron Gardenhire did not want to bring his closer in, and we had that great shot of Gardenhire going out to the mound grumbling to himself and wondering if having to pitch Capps in game 1 would affect Capps later in the series. Well, we didn't see him last night as the Royals won 1-0. So he's had a night off. And we'll get the lower third of the Royals order, and Johnny Giavotella comes up swinging. He singled in the 6th, 1 for 3 tonight. And that single put an end to an 0 for 9.
As you mentioned, Capps 13 saves and only 14 opportunities, so he's been very, very effective for the Twins bullpen.
And the bullpen had big time trouble last year. Minnesota bullpen had 29 losses. That was the most in the American League. So a big turnaround there. Capps is the 5th Minnesota pitcher tonight after Nick Blackburn went 5 as the starter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jeff Manship an inning, Jared Burton an inning and a third, Glenn Perkins 2/3. And now the Minnesota bullpen has given up 2 earned runs over the last 23 innings. Still 1-2. You know, something that has been overlooked perhaps with all the focus on the Royals starting pitching, and there have been 3 shutouts during this homestand. The Royals have scored 17 runs total in the 6 games, including the 2 runs tonight. And the Royals, and we mentioned that last night was the 1/3 mark of the season. The Royals are 13th in the American League in runs scored.
Well, the fact that they were able to win 3 games, in those 3 games only scoring 5 runs, not going to happen a lot of times.
Scored 2 runs on Friday against Oakland, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. They scored 7 runs. That's 17 runs with a 7-run game. That was Monday against Minnesota in a loss, and then 1 run is all they needed last night, and now 2 runs tonight. Just missed outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And even though if they do not win this game, they'll get a split in the homestand, I think it'll be looked at as a disappointing homestand given the fact that they won the first 2 out of 3 against the Oakland A's. And I think everyone expected when the Twins came to town, being at the bottom of the division, the Royals expected to win 2 out of 3 ball games.
Chop toward third and foul. Matt Capps joined the Minnesota Twins in 2010 when Joe Nathan was out with Tommy John surgery. John Roush started the season as closer. Capps finished the season and became the 3rd pitcher in Major League history with 10 saves for 2 teams in both leagues the same year. He started with the Nationals. Had some trouble last year. There were a couple of occasions last season when he was bumped from the closer's role. And Giavotella tempted, but lays off a high fastball. It's 3-2.
Well, early last year, both Capps and Joe Nathan had their struggles, but eventually Joe Nathan essentially reclaimed that role as their closer. Now he's moved on to the Texas Rangers, so Matt Capps has inherited the role as closer for the Twins this year.
On the ground, right side, KCA dives. Throws from his knees, got him. Man.
Certainly a big league play, going to his left, outstretched, up quick. Johnny Giavotella, quick runner running down first. I think Johnny thought he may have beat the throw, but the umpire, Corey Blazer, right on top of it. I think he got the call right.
And KCA getting a little bit of help at first base on a stretch from Trevor Plouffe, who is starting his first major league game at first base. He's played all over the field, and he's played first, but this was his first start. And he is borrowing Joe Mauer's first base glove. A little easier play for KCA, and the Royals are down to their last out. Well, things were looking good for the Royals back in the first inning when Yuniesky Betancourt hit a 2-run home run to left field to give the Royals the lead, and that is Miller time tonight, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Young Uni, the second batter of the game, drives in Alex Gordon. The only 2 runs the Royals have scored all night.
Now Brian Pena will bat for Humberto Quintero. Quintero was 0 for 3. And Brian takes ball 1. Pena has driven in 2 runs in the series. He is 1 for 3. And against Matt Capps, he is 0 for 3. Royals need a runner for a chance. And if Pena reaches, now we're back to the top of the order with Alex Gordon. Two and 1.
Brian Pena looking to get on any way possible.
.95 miles an hour, 2 balls, 2 strikes. There was a game in Minnesota where Eric Hosmer hit a home run in the 9th inning. That was right after the All-Star break. And that was one of the times that Matt Capps was moved out of the closer's role. Brian still alive at 2-2.
Speaking of home runs, the Twins this year have hit 41 home runs, lowest in the American League. They've given up 72 home runs.
That will be out of play.
And with a Betancourt home run, that gives the Royals 43 home runs on the year, so they're only 2 home runs ahead of the Twins, but hoping to get Alex Gordon to the plate to have a chance for a 2-run homer to tie it up.
Toward the same spot, and Willingham once again will run out of room. You see the hat that the Twins are wearing. When they moved to Target Field, they changed their logo. They went back to the TC for Twin Cities. That's the logo they wore when they won the World Series in '87 and '91. And recently, they went back to that for a throwback game, and they have won 6 out of 8. So, not that baseball players are superstitious, but they continue to wear that hat and trying to make it 7 of their last 9 games. But Ryan Pena is really giving Matt Capps a battle.
And we saw the Baltimore Orioles make a similar change. They'd worn that caricature Oriole for many, many years. They went to the more conventional Oriole, the bird. And this year they switched back, and they're having success.
Tied in first place in the East going into tonight. Ryan Pena strikes out, and the Minnesota Twins, with their M caps and minus a big M, Joe Mauer, they come to Kansas City and they take 2 out of 3. 4-2 our final score. We'll be right back.